What is up, you guys? My name is Aubrey and this is my channel, and today I want to talk about stimulus checks, and I want to talk about some of the steps that you need to take if you're somebody who did not receive your stimulus check or if you did not receive the full amount of your stimulus check. So in this video, I want to talk about the path that you need to pursue in order to claim your full stimulus check. I'm going to talk about who is eligible for this and how to recover the lost funds that you really should have gotten last year. So let's get started. So as you guys know, last year with the CARES Act, eligible adults received $1,200 in direct payment stimulus checks. Each eligible child received $500. Then later in 2020, a second stimulus bill was passed that provided eligible adults with $600 and eligible children with $600 as well. These are the two different types of stimulus payments that we've received with COVID-19 relief aid. But the problem is, despite the fact that there has been two separate bills distributing two separate checks to eligible Americans, there are still millions of people out there who are eligible for their checks and they have not received them yet. This is incredibly frustrating because whenever it comes to claiming this money, there is virtually no path to go down. That is with the exception of the recovery rebate. And if you are somebody who did not receive your stimulus checks or you did not receive the full amount that you were owed, then the recovery rebate is the path that you need to pursue. So let's first talk about what the recovery rebate is. Then we'll talk about who is eligible for the recovery rebate, and then we'll talk about how to go about claiming your recovery rebate. So number one is the recovery rebate is a tax credit that the IRS and the government implemented because of COVID-19 and because of the stimulus packages that were passed over the last year. Basically, this was the government's response to people who did not receive their checks. And if you didn't receive your check or you didn't receive the full amount that you were owed, the recovery rebate is the path that you can go down in order to receive those funds. Basically, the recovery rebate is a tax credit that needs to be filed along with your 2020 taxes. Next is the question of who qualifies for the recovery rebate. Well, anybody who did not receive their stimulus check that is eligible for that stimulus check would potentially qualify. This could be somebody who maybe moved and as a result your check was sent to the wrong address. This is maybe somebody who had outdated information on their previous tax returns. Maybe they changed banks, maybe they moved, maybe they changed their name, whatever the case is. And as a result, the IRS sent the funds to the wrong person, the wrong account, the wrong bank. Additionally, if you're somebody who received the first stimulus check but you never received the second stimulus check, this could be because a clerical error that was on the IRS's end. Basically, what happened is for a number of people, and by a number I mean millions of people, the IRS sent out the second round of stimulus check payments to either outdated bank accounts or temporary bank accounts that were used on outdated tax returns. The IRS, as of recently, has said that they are trying to resolve this problem and they are trying to send those checks out to the correct people and to the correct accounts. But to be honest, I wouldn't hold my breath on having the IRS solve this issue. And if you're somebody who is affected by this clerical problem, then you're probably going to have to claim the recovery rebate as well. And lastly, if you had a child that was not reflected on the tax returns that were used in order to distribute stimulus funds, you could also be eligible for the recovery rebate. So let's say, for example, you had a child in 2020, let's say in January of 2020. Well, that child wouldn't be claimed on your 2019 tax returns, but that child was alive during the process of stimulus checks and stimulus packages. So let's say, for example, you had a baby in February of 2020. Well, that baby is not reflected on your 2019 tax returns, and your 2019 tax returns were used in order to determine how much you were eligible for stimulus payments. But that baby was alive for the majority of 2020, and as a result, you are eligible for stimulus checks for that child. So in this case, you would want to file a recovery rebate because of the fact that you did not get as much as you were really owed. You may have gotten a stimulus check for yourself, but you better believe that your newborn child is also eligible for a stimulus check as well, and you'll want to claim that money. So in general, there's a lot of different situations that could dictate whether or not you are eligible for a recovery rebate. Basically, a good rule of thumb is if you're somebody who had a child in 2019, or if your child has never been reflected on your tax returns before, you could be eligible for a recovery rebate. Additionally, if you're somebody who makes less than $75,000 per year, or if you're married and you and your partner make less than $150,000 per year, you could also be eligible for a recovery rebate if you never received the initial stimulus checks. These are just a couple of examples of how and why you could be eligible for the recovery rebate, but if you're not sure if you are eligible for the recovery rebate, I would consult an accountant accountant, or I will include a handful of valuable resources down in the description below. So now that we know what the recovery rebate is and we know who is eligible for the recovery rebate, now begs the question of how do you actually go about claiming your recovery rebate? And the answer to that question is through your 2020 taxes. The way that you can go about claiming your recovery rebate is through filing your taxes, specifically the Form 1040 or the Form 1040 SR. So this is what a Form 1040 looks like, and the recovery rebate section of this form is found on line 30. So what you have to do is you have to enter the amount that you're eligible for the recovery rebate on this line 30 of the Form 1040. So you have to be able to determine how much you are owed through the recovery rebate program. Now there are a lot of different resources that you can use online in order to determine this figure. I will include a handful of links down in the description below, but the IRS has a worksheet that you can use. I actually encourage you to use the IRS's worksheet because they created the worksheet. You can ensure that this is the correct one, but Hello Skip has a pretty good option that you can use as well to determine how much you're owed, and there are a slew of different other resources online that you can use as well. But I would encourage you to use the IRS one, and again, I will link that down in the description below. But basically, you can use the IRS's worksheet in order to determine how much you are eligible for with the recovery rebate. Then you enter that into line 30. Now, it is important to remember that even if you are somebody who has never filed your taxes before, even if you don't make enough to justify filing taxes, you will need to file taxes in this instance. You have to file your taxes in order to be eligible for the recovery rebate. Now, there is a different set of instructions for people who did not receive their stimulus check, but they also don't typically file their taxes because they don't make enough. Again, I will include a handful of links down in the description below that can help answer any questions that you may have if you're somebody who is a non-filer. I will include a handful of links down in the description below that may address some of the questions that you may have if you're somebody who has traditionally been a non-filer, but you're having to file this year because of the recovery rebate. Honestly, though, I don't think that claiming the recovery rebate is going to be much of an issue. If you're somebody who has done your taxes on your own in the past, using services like TurboTax or Credit Karma or some of these other out-of-the-box software solutions, I expect and it is expected that these software programs are going to integrate the recovery rebate into the software as well. So it should be a fairly no-brainer step-by-step process if you're somebody who's done your taxes in the past. And lastly, if you're somebody who has never filed a tax return in the past and now you are needing to do so in order to claim the recovery rebate, I would encourage you to maybe look into hiring an accountant. Hiring an accountant in order to file your taxes to claim your recovery rebate shouldn't be an expensive endeavor, and if you count to the fact that you will receive a credit back once you file your taxes, then it kind of offsets the cost. Now keep in mind, I am not a tax professional, I am not an accountant. In fact, I hire somebody to do my own accounting because I don't trust myself to do it accurately, so take my advice that I'm giving you with a grain of salt. This is information that the IRS has issued, but as far as the exact steps that you need to take in order to file your taxes in 100% completion, that's something that you should leave up to a tax professional. So if you don't know how to do that, I would encourage you to do it this year because of the fact that you certainly do not want to miss out on your recovery rebate, because once the 2020 tax season is done with, then you probably won't be able to claim that money again. But like always, you guys, I would love to hear your thoughts. If you have any questions, comments, if you'd like to add anything, make sure to leave a comment down below. And while you guys are at it, make sure to hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell. And I'll see you guys in the next video.